Welcome back to Storytime Boulevard, your destination to sleep. My name is Andrew, and I'm so glad you're here. If you've been enjoying these gentle bedtime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep this cozy little corner glowing. Now, take a moment to settle in. Let the day slip off your shoulders. You're home now. Take a slow, deep breath in and exhale gently. Let your jaw soften, your shoulders drop, and your hands unclench. Allow the quiet of night to settle around you like a blanket. Imagine a small street just after sunset, lined with cozy porches, screen doors, and flower boxes. The sky is soft lavender. The lights are warm gold. There's a hush in the air, like something old and kind is about to begin. You're there now, safe, still, and ready to drift. Tonight's story is called The Lights of Midsummer Row. A gentle mystery glows to life on a quiet cul-de-sac, where porch lights flicker. Memories hum in the walls, and one sleepless woman follows a shimmer that only she seems to see. Let's begin. It was the warmest evening of the summer so far. The kind of warmth that clung to your skin like a memory. The kind that made the pavement hum and the windows glow a little softer. On Midsummer Row, most of the neighbours had already turned in. Screen doors clicked shut. Glasses clinked in kitchen sinks. Sprinklers sighed across lawns, and wind chimes gave out one last sleepy song. But at number 7, the light on the porch did something strange. It flickered just once, not like a bulb going bad, but like a candle being gently blown on, and then gently relit. Inside, Elora sat on the edge of her bed in a tank top and cotton shorts, her legs sticking slightly to the quilt. She hadn't slept well in weeks. Summer always made her restless. Too many memories, too much stillness, too much time to think. She got up, crossed to the window, and looked out. There it was again. The porch light, that warm amber bulb her landlord had never replaced, flickering in soft, measured pulses. Once, pause. Twice, pause. Then still, It was enough to make her raise an eyebrow. The other porch lights on the street, they were steady, fixed, unmoving. But number 7's light had always felt different, not unreliable, just curious. Elora padded barefoot into the hallway, opened the front door and stepped outside. The night wrapped around her like a cotton robe, warm, quiet, familiar. She stood on her porch for a while, watching the lights of the other houses. And that's when she noticed it. Number 5's porch light blinked, just once. Then number 9. Then hers again. A pattern, a soft golden rhythm glowing down the street like a quiet Morse code. Elora narrowed her eyes, the corners of her lips curling slightly. She hadn't felt intrigued like this in a long time. She grabbed the old deck chair from beside the planter, sat down and watched. Somewhere, a sprinkler turned off. A moth spun around the porch bulb, and on Midsummer Row, the lights continued to speak. Just loud enough for someone like Elora, someone still awake, to hear. Elora sat on the porch for a long time, letting the night settle around her like warm linen. The lights continued their rhythm. Blink, pause, blink, blink, pause. Her light. Number 5. Number 9. Back to hers again. It was too even to be random. She squinted and whispered, almost embarrassed at the sound of her own voice. "Are you trying to tell me something?" The light blinked once. Elora stared, then smiled, the smallest smile. Not a happy one, exactly, but a smile that said, "Fine, I'll play." She went back inside, grabbed her old spiral notebook from the junk drawer, the one with water stains and the half-broken binding, and returned to the porch. She began to write. 7, blink. 5, blink. 9, blink. 7, pause. 5, blink, blink. 9, blink. 7, blink. Each sequence soft, golden, slow, like a heartbeat or an old song playing behind a door. She didn't know what it meant, not yet, but something about it felt familiar. Not the code, but the feeling. Like déjà vu on a summer night. She leaned back in her chair and stared up at the sky. No stars, too hazy. But the clouds above had softened, letting the moon peek through like a shy neighbor peeking over the fence. Elora remembered summers when things had felt lighter, when evenings were made of lemonade and laughter from someone else's backyard. when porch lights meant people were still awake, still there. But time had done what time always does. The lights had stayed, the people hadn't, and yet now, tonight, the lights were speaking, blinking like old friends trying to get her attention. She sat with the notebook in her lap, the pen resting on her knee. What if it's not a code? What if it's a memory? The thought came to her as softly as the breeze, and then, as if on cue, her porch light blinked once more. Then again, 3 times. Elora whispered, "I remember that." The street had been quiet for so long, but suddenly it felt full. Not with noise, but with presence, like the night was remembering with her. She didn't know how or why or who had started it, but she knew this. Tomorrow night, she would stay up again, and maybe, just maybe, the lights would tell her more. The next night came warm and quiet, just like the last. The cicadas sang from the trees, and the streetlights hummed softly. The kind of hum that disappears if you try too hard to hear it, but comes back when you sit still. Elora had already made tea this time, chamomile with a bit of honey. She poured it into the cracked blue mug she always meant to replace, and stepped out onto the porch with her notebook, pen, and a blanket draped over one shoulder. She didn't have to wait long. Just after 9, her porch light blinked once. Then number 5. Then 9. Back to hers. The same pattern as before, but this time something else happened. A light came on in the house across the street. Not the porch, the living room. And a shadow moved behind the curtain. Elora froze for a moment, the steam from her tea curling up past her face. Someone else was up. Someone else had seen it. She stood, took a few slow steps to the edge of the porch, and gave the faintest wave. More of a raised hand, really. The kind of gesture that said, "Hi, I see you. I think we might be watching the same thing." The curtain didn't move. The shadow didn't respond. But the porch light at number 11 blinked. Just once. Elora let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. This wasn't just a game of memory anymore. It was something shared. She sat back down, her mind buzzing in a quiet, sleepy sort of way. The tea was still warm. The breeze had picked up, rustling the ferns in her planter box. And somewhere down the block, a wind chime gave a sleepy sigh. The porch lights blinked again, but now they felt less like Morse code and more like a slow, glowing conversation, a rhythm between homes, a pulse running underneath the cul-de-sac like a dream no one had spoken aloud in years. She glanced at the houses, one by one, wondering, who else is watching? Who else remembers? And who turned the lights on first? Because it didn't feel like electricity anymore. It felt like memory, like the soft, collective remembering of a neighborhood that had once been full of backyard laughter and late-night bike rides, of sleepovers, fireflies, and porch swing confessions. The lights blinked once more. Elora set down her tea. She wrote just one line in her notebook before heading inside to sleep. We are all still here. The next evening came with a hush. That kind of golden hush that settles over a street just before the first star appears, not silent but sacred. Elora was already waiting, wrapped in her blanket, tea in hand, notebook open beside her. But tonight, she wasn't the only one. Lights across Midsummer Row flickered on earlier than usual. Not just in the usual rhythm, but with intention, as if more people were quietly tuning in. At number 9, a curtain was pulled back. At number 5, the porch swings swayed. Number 11's door creaked open, and a single lantern was hung on the railing, glowing a soft honey color. For a moment, no one spoke, no one waved. But the lights blinked together in a slow, unspoken pattern, one at a time. Then all at once, a neighborhood-long exhale. Elora's eyes stung, though she didn't know why. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't even surprise. It was that rare feeling of being part of something gentle, like the memory of summer itself had reached out and wrapped around them all, linking them in flickers and silence. Across the street, someone placed a second chair on their porch and left it empty, just in case. The lights blinked again. Elora smiled. Something unspoken had returned. Not youth, not the past, but presence. A quiet promise drifted through the night like firefly light, that even in the hush of a world gone still, someone else was awake beside you, leaving the light on just a little longer. On the final night of July, as the sky turned to velvet and the air carried the scent of warm pavement and faded blooms, Elora sat once more on her porch, blanket wrapped around her shoulders, notebook in her lap, and her light glowing softly above her. The pattern had returned, steady and slow. And this time, more lights joined in. Number 5 blinked twice. Number 9 flickered like a memory. And even number 11, quiet and still for weeks, pulsed in time with hers. Across the street, shadows moved behind windows. Someone on a nearby porch raised a teacup in silent salute. Elora didn't wave. She just smiled. That same quiet, knowing smile. And leaned back in her chair as the street filled, not with noise, but with presence. The lights weren't just lights anymore. They were threads, stitched between houses, between hearts, between people who had once drifted quietly into their own lives, and were now, in this soft, golden hour, remembering together. For the first time in a long while, Elora didn't feel like the last one awake. She felt seen and stilled and softly held. And when she finally stood to go inside, the porch light blinked once more behind her, as if to say, "Rest well. I'll stay on for you." The end. As you settle into rest, take a quiet breath. Let it fill you, like the glow of a porch light at the end of a long day. Tonight's story reminded us that even in silence, we're connected. Sometimes all it takes is a flicker, a moment, to remember that we're not as alone as we think. The world around you holds small lights, people who are still awake, still remembering, still watching with you. So rest easy now. You are part of something gentle and steady. And someone, somewhere, has left a light on just for you. Good night, dreamer. We'll see you again soon, here on Storytime Boulevard.